Our car broke down, so my stepson and I found ourselves spending the night at a hotel. Then something unexpected occurred. Life is replete with unforeseen twists and turns. As I sat in the small hotel room that evening, alone with Gary, a thought crossed my mind. The absence of my husband Logan, who has been in another city for the past few months, has left me feeling quite tense. I missed him, undoubtedly, yet it transcended merely his absence. It was his indifference, his disinterest, that constituted the true issue. The solitude of the nights gnawed at the very essence of my being. How could I have anticipated that requesting my stepson Gary to accompany me to visit Dad would culminate in us confined to a cramped hotel room, a mere space with a solitary bed? Unbeknownst to me, a turning point loomed just ahead. Allow me to recount the entire tale from its inception, capturing every minute detail along the way. Believe me, the conclusion of this tale will unfold in a manner far more thrilling than you can imagine. That morning, as I stepped out of the house, I caught a fleeting reflection of myself in the mirror. I felt the tension coursing through me, yet I managed to maintain an air of elegance. Despite Logan's departure leaving me in solitude, I remained aware of my desirability, still embracing the essence of being alive. Yet, even those emotions had lost their potency, they no longer fulfilled me. In the kitchen, as the morning light filtered through the window, Gary was putting the final touches on his breakfast when I called out to him from behind. As the summer draws to a close and college approaches, it's essential to sharpen your driving skills. Let's go meet your father. He gazed up at me, that familiar mischievous grin playing on his lips as it always did. Gary was an endearing child, full of charm and humor, yet he had a knack for stirring up mischief from time to time. "All right, stepmom," he said with a playful grin, "but only if you convince Dad to get me a better car for the summer." "We'll talk about it," I said, my tone cutting through the air as I hurried him along. Yet, within me, a thought lingered: let us simply conclude this journey. Yet, I was utterly unaware that the journey would take an unexpected turn. After 2 hours on the road, we continued our journey. In the back seat, I found myself absorbed in my phone, fingers dancing across the screen, while Gary filled the air with his off-key hums to a tune playing on the radio. Every so often, he would toss out a silly joke, the kind that only he seemed to find amusing, his laughter ringing out like a solitary note in the car's atmosphere. Suddenly, the car emitted a dreadful hiss, and just like that, it came to a complete stop. "What is unfolding?" I inquired, making an effort to keep my composure. "I think the car broke down," Gary muttered, pulling over to the side of the road, his annoyance palpable. There we found ourselves, ensnared in the vast expanse of desolation. The signal on my phone flickered weakly, and not a single soul was in sight to offer assistance. For 2 long hours, we engaged in a heated debate, reaching out to every mechanic we could locate, desperately attempting to resolve the vexing issue. At last, we were compelled to acknowledge the undeniable truth. There was no alternative but to seek refuge for the night at the nearest motel. At the motel reception, as Gary engaged in conversation with the man at the desk, I lingered behind him, simmering with frustration. I couldn't help but think that if Logan catches wind of this, he's bound to explode. Yet, in that peculiar instant, I found that it seemed to hold little significance. In the depths of my being, an undeniable certainty whispered that this night would alter the course of everything. Before this tale takes an even wilder turn, be sure to subscribe to my channel and activate those notifications. You'll definitely want to stick around for what comes next. Ultimately, I would greatly appreciate your support. Flooded with comments and accompanied by those likes. As we approached the room and swung the door open, every hope I had shattered into a million pieces. The space was minuscule, scarcely allowing for a complete turn. A solitary bed, accompanied by a lone nightstand, beneath a dim, flickering overhead light that cast a dingy pallor over the room. The ceiling loomed low, the air conditioning struggled to function, and the solitary window offered nothing but a view of the parking lot. "This is it," I whispered, a sense of disappointment washing over me. As I entered, I could hear Gary's laughter trailing in behind me. What were you anticipating? A luxurious 5-star establishment? Take a breath, stepmom, it's merely one evening. Once more, that playful tone lingers, accompanied by that familiar smirk. It drove me to the brink of madness, yet simultaneously ignited an inexplicable fire within me. Despite my reluctance to acknowledge it, the prospect of spending the evening here alone with Gary didn't appear quite so dreadful after all. With a chuckle, Gary strolled in just behind me. What did you anticipate? A luxurious 5-star hotel experience? We find ourselves here for but a single night. Take a breath, stepmother. The playful lilt in his voice, coupled with that mischievous smile, only served to heighten my irritation. Yet, I found it difficult to claim that I completely despised Gary's easygoing, relaxed demeanor. His presence ignited a spark within me, an exhilarating sensation that I would never openly acknowledge, yet it lingered just beneath the surface, elusive and intriguing. Text, the oppressive heat is suffocating, I remarked, as I massaged the nape of my neck. I believe a shower is in order, or I might just faint from the overwhelming sensation. Of course, Gary replied nonchalantly, flopping onto the bed and stretching out on his back. This is your realm, Carmen. Embrace the freedom to create your own sense of belonging. For a fleeting moment, I cast my gaze in his direction. His slender yet defined physique, combined with the subtle youthful quality of his features, bestowed upon him an unusual allure. Yet, I swiftly endeavored to dispel the notion from my mind. He was, after all, the son of Logan, my stepson. As I entered the bathroom, I closed the door softly, sealing myself away from the world outside. For a fleeting moment, I found myself captivated by the image staring back at me from the mirror. The heat clung to me, my hair plastered against my skin, yet I still managed to exude an undeniable allure. The spark within me remained alive. As I turned on the shower, I allowed the water to cascade down, stepping beneath its embrace, yearning for it to cleanse the tumult of emotions swirling within me. I am 47 years of age, I reflected, and Gary, he is no longer a child. At 22, on the brink of embarking on his college journey, we find ourselves confined to this small hotel room for a few days. The notion stirred a mix of unease and exhilaration within me, an emotion I found difficult to articulate. Logan suddenly surfaced in my thoughts. Logan, I had a delightful surprise in store for you. I longed to be in your presence, to share moments together. Yet here I find myself, confined within the walls of this hotel room alongside your son, grappling with a whirlwind of emotions I can't quite decipher. The steam enveloped the small bathroom, a warm embrace that soothed my body while my thoughts surged like a tempest. Gary's grin and his easygoing nature ignited an unexpected spark within me. As I stood beneath the cascade of water, the nature of the spark eluded me, yet an undeniable shift was unfolding. Eventually, I made my way downstairs for dinner, hoping to clear my mind a little. I slipped into a delicate, airy dress. It was ideal for the warmth, yet it also brought a sense of comfort to my being. I found myself grappling with an unsettling tension that refused to dissipate. The hotel restaurant exuded a charming simplicity, perfectly suited for such an intimate space. I requested a light meal accompanied by a glass of wine, anticipating that it would soothe my nerves. The sun dipped below the horizon, casting a gentle twilight, while the streetlights outside the hotel flickered to life, their warm glow illuminating the evening air. As I sat there, my thoughts inevitably drifted back to the room above. I found myself pondering the current endeavors of Gary. For someone so vibrant and brimming with energy, being confined to a small room likely felt like a stifling prison. Yet, there was something about his laid-back demeanor, so natural and untroubled, that was driving me to the brink of madness in a manner I couldn't fully articulate. As the last sip of wine slipped away, I cast one last look at my plate before ascending the stairs, each step deliberate and unhurried. Upon entering the room, an enveloping silence greeted me. As I swung the door open, the scene before me took my breath away, leaving me momentarily speechless. Gary, freshly emerged from the shower, lay sprawled on the bed, clad only in a robe, utterly unconscious. His robe hung loosely, parting just enough to showcase the contours of his lean, athletic physique. His damp hair tumbled over his forehead, and a subtle smile graced his lips, as if he were lost in a dream. My heart raced with intensity. I could hardly have anticipated what awaited me as I stepped inside. For a fleeting moment, I stood still by the door, caught in a web of uncertainty about my next move. Within me, a peculiar blend of emotions stirred. Though a flush of embarrassment washed over me, I found myself unable to look away from him. "Carmen, what on earth are you doing?" "That is the son of Logan." I chastised myself within, yet my gaze faltered, irresistibly drawn to the section of his robe that had slipped further ajar. What I witnessed ignited a gentle warmth within me. The cramped dimensions of the room only exacerbated the situation. There was no alternative. It was either share the bed with him or endure the long hours of the night in a chair. In this sweltering heat, the mere idea of a chair felt utterly unattainable. I entered the room with deliberate slowness, the steady, rhythmic sound of Gary's breathing enveloping the atmosphere. As I inhaled deeply, an attempt to center myself, the tumult within me rendered clarity an elusive dream. I needed to gather my composure. "Very well, Carmen," I whispered under my breath. "It's merely a single evening, nothing beyond that. This holds no significance." I aimed to delight Logan, yet here I find myself, ensnared in this predicament. "Maintain your composure and think clearly." I approached the bed, casting a glance at Gary. The purity of his expression only served to further entangle my already chaotic thoughts. I perched on the edge of the bed, contemplating the challenges that lay ahead as the night unfolded. In the stillness of the night, a gentle sound roused me from my slumber. With a slight flutter, I cracked my eyelids, allowing just enough light to filter in as I surveyed the space around me. I observed Gary adjusting his position on the bed. He appeared to be in a daze, his fingers weaving through his hair as he gently scratched his scalp. I caught myself observing him, yet I maintained a facade of drowsiness, keeping my eyes only half open. Yet, beneath the surface, turmoil reigned supreme. In that moment, I sensed it, his gaze fixed upon me. My heart began to race. He observed me intently. I endeavored to uphold the facade, preserving the drowsy expression upon my visage and remaining motionless, yet within me, a whirlwind of energy swirled. "Loosen the fastening of his garment." As it fell away, the robe cascaded from his shoulders, unveiling more of his sculpted physique. The subtle movement of his muscles with each motion ignited an unexpected warmth within me. I found myself unable to restrain my impulses. At that instant, I came to understand two profound truths. I found myself swept away by the unfolding events, a curious part of me reluctant to intervene. Gary retrieved a pair of shorts from the depths of the wardrobe. As he proceeded, his gaze frequently flickered in my direction, as if he were attempting to discern whether I was truly awake. His appearance heightened my anticipation even further. I struggled to keep my composure, yet the intensity of the moment enveloped me entirely. Once he slipped into his shorts, he chose not to return to the bed. Instead, he settled into the chair in the corner of the room and began to observe me intently. The intensity of the gaze upon me was both disconcerting and awakened an indescribable sensation within the depths of my being. I closed my eyes tightly, feigning slumber, yet I wondered how much longer I could maintain this charade. At last, I reached my limit and propped myself up. As our gazes locked, I steadied my voice, ensuring it remained unwavering as I confessed, with all my emotions laid bare, "You're making me so excited, Gary." The weight of those words lingered in the atmosphere. In that instant, I realized that everything had irrevocably changed. For a fleeting moment, Gary's eyes danced with uncertainty, but then he inhaled deeply and began to articulate his thoughts. "I don't know, Carmen," he said, his voice low yet unwavering. "For some time now, we have been sharing the same roof ever since my father departed. As our moments together accumulate, so too does the depth of my feelings for you. Unbeknownst to you, there are moments when my admiration for you slips through the cracks, revealing itself despite my efforts to conceal it. At this moment, it seems as though I am caught in a surreal dreamscape. His words took me by surprise, yet they ignited a spark within me. Gary's gaze remained fixed. His gaze locked onto mine, infused with a raw honesty and fervor that left me utterly entranced. I must rise early to have the car repaired, he continued, though his voice carried the weight of self-persuasion. Yet his gaze remained steadfast, unwavering in the slightest. At this moment, my gaze is utterly captivated by you, Carmen. A sensation unlike any I've experienced before washes over me. My heart raced with fervor. At that instant, I shifted to the edge of the bed and settled into the chair directly across from him. Our gazes intertwined, a silent connection forming between us. The connection we shared was so profound that words became unnecessary. We lingered in silence for a moment, and then I pursed my lips gently, locking my gaze onto him. Gary, I said slowly, my voice laced with both curiosity and a hint of challenge. Are we on the same page here? Gary's gaze intensified, as if he yearned to experience this moment through emotions rather than mere words. He remained silent, yet the expression in his eyes conveyed everything. In that moment, it dawned on me that there was no way to retreat from our path. As I gazed into his eyes, a wave of bravery and uncontainable longing surged within me. The blend of uncertainty and fervor in his gaze only propelled me onward. With a steadying breath, I began to speak once more, my tone composed yet resolute, capturing his complete focus. As I entered the room, I found you lost in slumber. Your robe hung slightly ajar, and I found myself unable to look away from you. It affected me more deeply than I anticipated. These feelings are inescapable. It is a truth we both acknowledge. With my words lingering in the atmosphere, I advanced a step and gradually rose to my feet. His gaze tracked my every motion, his breath growing more rapid. Excitement surged through me, impossible to contain. As my fingers grazed the sash of my dress, I began to untie it slowly, each movement eliciting a noticeable shift in his breathing. I believe I mentioned, my voice lowering to a hush, we must balance the scales, Gary. I gently pulled down the zipper at the back of my dress. The fabric cascaded from my shoulders, gracefully descending to the floor below. The crisp air caressing my skin intensified the fire that raged within me. The expression in his eyes conveyed everything. Astonishment, reverence, and an irresistible attraction enveloped him. The stillness enveloping us transformed into a connection, our breaths intertwining seamlessly as we held each other's gaze. With deliberate intent, I advanced another step in his direction. In a hushed tone, I remarked, "Let's determine if we are indeed discussing the same matter." Gary's gaze remained fixed on me, his expression unwavering and brimming with intensity. In an instant, he rose to his feet, his eyes locked onto mine, and flicked on the room light. The gentle illumination enveloped the space as he approached and secured the door. My heart began to race. In that instant, time seemed to stretch, enveloping only the two of us in its embrace. As he advanced toward me, my breath became shallow and rapid. He appeared to be searching my eyes for meaning, yet he was acutely conscious of the unspoken connection that drew us together. As he approached, his hands settled on my waist, and the warmth of his touch surged through me like an electric current. Silently, he drew closer, his gaze fixating on my lips. I remained silent. I was unable to. All of this unfolded with an effortless grace, as if it were destined to occur. As his lips finally brushed against mine, the tension that had been coiling within me dissipated like mist in the morning sun. His kiss unfolded slowly, a journey of discovery, yet it brimmed with an unmistakable fervor. My hands instinctively found their way to his shoulders, enveloped by the strength and warmth that radiated from him. As our breaths intertwined, the distance that once separated us vanished entirely. That moment resonated with the intensity of an explosion, unleashing all the unvoiced emotions that lingered between us. The vibrancy of Gary's youth intertwined with the profound passion I had nurtured throughout the years. It marked the dawn of a new chapter, a moment that was both daunting and thrilling. That night, the truth of our feelings for one another could no longer be concealed. I surrendered to the bed, my body weary yet my thoughts surged like a tempest. My breath remained unsteady, the delicate fabric of my dress lay on the floor, and my foot gently grazed its surface. Gary's gaze lingered on me, an intense and silent energy emanating from his eyes. A moment later, he lowered himself to the ground and retrieved the dress, his fingers gently gliding over the spot where my foot had rested. Even that seemingly straightforward action ignited something within me. As he grasped the dress for a fleeting moment, I noticed a brief flicker of uncertainty cross his face. With a surge of resolve, he cast the dress aside. His hands glided to the edge of the bed. With measured grace, he ascended onto the mattress, each movement intentional and cautious. As he approached, the look on his face revealed his emotions, a captivating blend of eagerness and undeniable allure. As I reclined on the opposite side of the bed, I sensed Gary's proximity. My heart raced, and my breaths grew deeper. As he leaned in closer, it struck me that the space separating us had nearly vanished. It felt as though the world had arrived at a critical juncture, an irreversible moment had been crossed. In that moment, an overwhelming sensation surged within me. It brought both pain and exhilaration in equal measure. As I gazed upward at the ceiling, Gary's face came into view. The way he deftly swept his hair back from his forehead with his hand captivated me. In his eyes, I could discern the depths of Gary's emotions. He was flushed, brimming with excitement and overflowing with joy. His fervor was palpable, and I found myself deeply touched by the sight of him, breathless and fully immersed in his endeavor. Gary had heightened my emotions to such an extent that I found myself relieved the car had broken down. "I'll never forget this hotel," Gary said, his voice trembling, each word escaping him like a weighty breath. His gaze was fixed upon me, yet his hands trembled ever so slightly. His body was taut, muscles coiling with each motion, every gesture becoming increasingly deliberate and exact, as if he sought to preserve a fleeting memory. He expressed with certainty that he no longer wished for his father to sell the car. Following those words, he allowed himself to collapse beside me, shutting his eyes in silence as he awaited the return of his breath. Fatigue enveloped me, leaving me devoid of the energy to utter a single word. My legs thrashed uncontrollably, and I was blissfully unaware of how I had drifted into slumber. The following morning, Gary arrived with the car repaired and informed me that we needed to collect Logan and make our way to the city. As we traveled down the road, a swirl of regret and conflicting emotions enveloped me, yet beneath it all, a spark of excitement flickered within. As I gazed at Gary, his eyes, his movements, every aspect of him was stirring something within me. All was shrouded in complexity, and still, the future remained an enigma to me. The questions swirled in my mind, battling against the thrill that coursed through me. One certainty lingered in my mind: this journey would mark the turning point of everything. If you've journeyed this far, it's clear my tale has captivated your imagination. Be sure to stay connected, tap the follow button, enable notifications, and share your thoughts on this story in the comments. I eagerly await your reflections.